Right, everybody, I've got the Mrs. Leicester City shirt on. It's day 2 of the Championship Tactic Week on the channel. Yesterday, we looked at Ipswich Town's Kieran McKenna's 4-2-3-1. Quite an adventurous tactic, high on risk. Today is all about control, and in particular rest defence and a couple of roles that gives Leicester City massive possession numbers in the game. And in real life, the plan is to give them ultimate control and against a counter-attacking opportunity. And when you're playing with a high line and you're pressing and you're playing in the opponent's half, having a good rest defence is absolutely key. And Enzo Maresca has got a couple of really key principles in this 4-3-3. Smash a like on today's video, muchly appreciated. Tactics Week, always trying to get eyes when I do these tactical weeks on the channel. Subscribe if you haven't. Now, if you do want the tactic as a direct download, please check out the Patreon, link down in the description. You get all the tactic direct downloads to download and put straight into FM24 folders. If not, don't worry, I am going to go through all the player roles, team instructions, any player instructions as well, so you can copy it into your own FM24 save. Okay, now a couple of things that we're going to look at, just based on a few bits of data. I am going to link an Enzo Maresca video that I found on YouTube, all talking about inverted wingbacks. So yeah, we've played with inverted wingback today and how he builds possession, but mainly how they counter sort of like the transition and trying to stop teams breaking against them when they lose the ball in high areas. And as you can see, if we look at team sequences styles, direct speed is the vertical and pass per sequence, so passes per move going along the horizontal. As you can see, Leicester and Southampton are the extremes in the division. Lots of passes per sequence and not really attacking at speed. So quite controlled, quite patient. Often will recycle the ball from left to right and try and work little openings. Okay, so very different to an Ipswich Town that you could see pretty much bang in the middle, quite high. I think they're ranked 3rd for direct speed, so really trying to get in behind fast and move the ball through the thirds that we saw in yesterday's video. Today, this should give us massive possession numbers. If we look at as well zones of control, the blue for Leicester City, as you could see, is the zones on the pitch that they are dominating. The grey ones are contested and the red ones are the ones that the opposition are controlling. And as you can see, it's only the penalty area is the only zone that Leicester are not either contesting or dominating on the football pitch. So very heavy reliant on getting control of the game and pass, controlling the game, positional play, obviously. Coming from Pep Guardiola and Manchester City's coaching staff, we're going to have that element of complete dominance, as Arteta likes to say, rather than control. PPDA numbers, now these are different actually to the Stats Bomb. My Stats Bomb numbers say that they're 4th. However, the Leicester City stats on Opta say 2nd. However, looking at getting the ball back quickly, so obviously we're looking at a high line, a high press, but not an absolutely extreme high press. Ipswich as well are the highest in the league. Yesterday's video, Leicester are down with 59, so ranked 5th in the division for shot ending high turnovers. So winning the ball back a lot, but not to an absolute extreme. However, they have scored the most from those shot ending actions. And as well on Opta, just a couple of little things that I want to show you. These are dribbles and shot-ending carries. We've got Mavididi up there, you should expect, explosive winger. We've also got, interestingly, along all these that are always sort of like attacking wingers, mostly are wingers. Obviously, there's Liam Delap in there. Schmodix is not a winger from what I can recall. And as you can see, Leicester have got 2, the right winger, Fatawu, and more interestingly, Dewsbury Hall, really good numbers for a number 8. So we'll definitely look at his carrying in the game, maybe a few different player instructions for him. And then just a couple of things to show you, a couple of little passing networks. Now, these are from, I'm going to do a couple of defeats through the recent games, but as you can see, 2 wingers getting extremely high, very high indeed, with 2 8s in Dewsbury Hall and Ndidi. Winks very much sitting in as a 6, and then 2 defenders, both fullbacks, and Pereira and Justin getting very narrow. And it is a general pattern. We look at the Millwall defeat, same thing, little bit wider, but not really high. Definitely helping him build up. And with the win against Birmingham, as you can see, Ricardo Pereira, really narrow, helping in that, making a double pivot with Harry Winks, Callum Doyle as well. Interesting, Callum Doyle's played a lot this season. Generally a centre-half, that's kind of been half converted into a left-back, so obviously trying to build with a back 3. Vestergaard is always the deeper one, and Wout Wes is always the one that's kind of moving into this sort of like right centre-back slot against Norwich City. As you can see, once again, full-backs really narrow, 2 wide players again, really key, really high and wide. Interested with the centre forward as well. I do think Leicester have lacked that real class. Obviously, Vardy's played there a lot. Daka's not great. Iniacho, I've been doing Iniacho in the FM save. It's worked really well. However, that will definitely be something that they will strengthen. I think they can get an absolute baller of a number 9, someone who can really good at linking play. He wants, obviously, Jamie Vardy, Daka like to get in behind. He's wanting really to work with a centre forward that can play with a back to goal. So something that they'll definitely look at probably doing in the Premier League. I do think Leicester will probably get top spot by the end of the season. And then a couple of little player graphs for us. This is Dewsbury Hall, absolutely tremendous. In the top 99% percentile for goals and assists, shots creating actions. Absolutely tremendous. Progressive passes received as well, so getting into really good areas. Touches in the penalty area, successful take-ons, so progressive carries. Absolutely tremendous. So we really need to look at making sure that he is carrying the ball. And as you can see, if you look at his heat map for the season, he is there in that sort of like left half space. So what are you thinking? I'm thinking Mazzala. Let me know down in the comments if that was what you were thinking. Okay, so with all of it, this is what I have put together in the game. And as you can see, we've done really well. 11 games in. We're not top, but we haven't lost the game. 5 goals conceded in those 11 games, so really good numbers. We'll talk about a couple of little tweaks that I've made just to make us a little bit more stronger, not in terms of possession numbers, but creativity and things to do for sort of like game state. When we've been getting ahead in games, I've been changing the tempo. The tempo's been valuable in how we've been able to control games. More importantly, possession. 69% possession. A lot of these games have been 70+. We're 11% ahead of Southampton. The other outliers in terms of possession numbers and dominating the game with sort of like a Russell Martin tactic. We had a shocking pre-season, and then we've just racked up and not an invincible start. Well, yeah, an invincible start because we've not lost, including a 4-1 win over Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup. Really good defensive numbers, as you can see. Wins. Some nice little draws as well. A really good win at Norwich, who were third at the time. Good draw at Southampton. Disappointing draw against Cardiff. He's probably the only one, on a couple of crazy scorelines in there as well. And if we go through a lot of these games, 78% possession, 58% possession for the Blackpool game, that was quite low. Huddersfield, 66. Cardiff, 75, just couldn't create, look. So that's where we looked at maybe tweaking it a little bit. Rotherham, 71% possession. Morecambe, 71% possession. Southampton managed to dominate them as well, fell 55-45, but obviously they're second in terms of possession. Norwich, 65%. Aston Villa, 55%. Blackburn, another 70%. Preston, 74%. And then Stoke City just at home, 76%. So absolutely good. There's obviously those 2 games against Blackpool and Southampton that have really brought those possession numbers, and they would have probably been in the mid-70s if we'd have just got those numbers a little bit higher. All right, let's go and see how I've put it together. So here we go. Now, very important to understand, Enzo Maresca wants control. He wants to counter, sort of like stop the counter-attack and stop the transitions. So what they try and often do is, in build-up as well, they will often build up with a 3. Generally, the left fullback, whether it's Justin or Doyle, Vestergaard and Faes will go a little bit wider, with Pereira coming in here to make a little double pivot. The 2 wide players, even though Mavididi is right-footed, he's on the left, and Fatawu is left-footed on the right, start very wide. So it's very much like Manchester City in the days of Sterling and Sane, where fullbacks would come in, but the wingers, even though they're on opposite sides, would start extremely wide and then naturally cut in. So that's what we're trying to achieve. Hermansen's come in the summer, really good goalkeeper with his feet, looking to build. They said they try and build with this diamond at times with Vestergaard, Faes and Vinks. So Hermansen, goalkeeper, sweeper keeper on attack. Pereira, I have been changing his role depending on game state and how we've been doing and trying to push. Now, he doesn't venture too far forward. I haven't seen it that much, but if you think he's just getting into a position where he's not going to help against the counter-attack and transition, put it on defend. That will help a little bit. Maybe in bigger games, he often just sits in. Obviously, when they're dominating games and playing these lesser sides, he does have a little bit more license to get into that final third a little bit more. Wout Weghorst, if we remember, the passing network was often a lot higher than Vestergaard. So we've put, as a central defender, on stopper, with the player instructions to stay wider. So hopefully in possession, when he goes into there, Wout Weghorst will then come into this wide back area. That is the plan. Left centre-half, Vestergaard is often the guy that's given the ball, sometimes trying to bait the press from the opponent. So I've put him as a ball-playing defender on defend. Obviously something that they're going to have to sort in the summer. Obviously they've got Cody and Sutas, or defensive strengthening if they get promoted. It's absolutely key. Left full-back, now, because it's Justin who's decent going forward, but not amazing. I think he's actually a right footer. Yeah, he's a right footer, but reasonable on his left. Callum Doyle, is it Callum Doyle? Have I got that right? Callum Doyle? Yeah, Callum Doyle is generally a centre-half, a young centre-half that's been playing at left-back. So we've got an inverted full-back on defend. He wants to make sure that he has a really good rest defence. So with that inverted full-back, with that, we're going to have a looking like a 3-2 at times. Moving into the 6, Winks has come in. Now, I am actually a big fan of Harry Winks. I think he's been given a lot of shit over the years. He just never stayed fit at Spurs, was often in and out of the side, played for some managers, didn't play for some managers, and has had a decent season. I've got him as a deep line playmaker on defend. I did have it on support, but he was just roaming a little bit too much. If we look at his FB charts graph, as you can see, not so much in terms of defensive. He's not that ball-winning 6. Leicester have often played over the last few years with a Samare or an Ndidi, and there's another player, I can't think, really small. Let me know down in the comments. Can't remember who it is, number 6, but more of a combative defensive midfielder. Harry Winks isn't that. It's all about getting on the ball, ticking play over, trying to break passes, break lines, progressive passes, pretty good. Carries is pretty good. So what you could do potentially is change that to maybe a DM if you're wanting to get him to dribble more. I've decided to do playmaker just so he gets on the ball and gets loads of touches of the ball. Ndidi in the midfield, absolute revitalised as a number 8. He's been playing as that 6 in the past and has had a decent season. Just lacks that real quality in the final third. What you could do for him as well is tackle harder, because he does like to get about, but he is often trying to break lines. In particular, when centre forward drops in, you want that box-to-box midfielder, especially with Dewsbury Hall looking to be a little bit of a creator. You do need that box threat from a deeper run. Dewsbury Hall, Mazzala on support, could quite easily be Mazzala on attack, and we've also got dribble more. Remember those progressive carries, coming into these half spaces and then trying to create. He's had a decent start for us. 9 assists, no goals, but 9 assists in 13 games. I think if we had it on attack, he'd maybe get further a little bit more. So I would leave that open to you. Once again, game state, chasing games, not maybe breaking teams down. A little simple switch, maybe Ndidi, get further forward on, or Mazzala on attack might help you out. Playing against teams with low blocks, trying to get maybe some runners in behind. The 2 wide players, both wingers on attack. Remember that passing network with the 2 wide players been extremely high and wide. So the only thing we can do with that is wingers, both with the instruction of cut inside with the ball. They want to come in, they want to score goals, they want to get on their stronger foot. So we've got them cutting inside with the ball. But wingers will make sure you hug the touchline. And then the striker, I've gone with Iniacho because he's a lot better than Vardy in the game, and he's made a really good start for me. 12 goals in 14 games. DLF on attack. Now this, depending on what you have and what you play with, he wants a link player. So for me, depending on what you've got, you could go pressing forward on support, you could go false 9, you could go complete forward on support, a deep line forward on attack or support, target forward as well. So you could change that, and I think the tactic will still work well. The DLF, obviously, then he gets off, he plays in sort of like these little holes here, and it allows the other players to get beyond him. But you're still wanting to be, obviously, when you're playing with Jamie Vardy, you're still wanting to be a little bit of a box threat. I think Jamie Vardy's the leading goal scorer for the team this year on about 14, so not massive numbers for a team that is potentially going to win the championship. Okay, moving into mentality, positive mentality. We want to control the game as much as we can. Fairly wide attacking width. We've just done that because we'll come across so many teams that have played with low blocks. We want to spread the pitch out a little bit in terms of those 2-8s. You'll get the width from the wingers, but we want a little bit of width as well with our number 8s going into those half spaces. So that's why we've got that on. Pass out from the defence, play out from the defence. Yes, can we get the ball into those double pivots? So they're trying to outnumber that double pivot. I was going to do focus through the middle, but the middle part of the pitch, the middle third, is the least numbers in terms of focus of attacks. More is down the left and then the right, then the centre. So I decided to leave that off, but you could do that if you really want to force that ball into that double pivot of Winks and Pereira. Shorter passing, yes, will help with the numbers and being patient. Tempo standard. Now, I did start the season on slightly lower, and we just really struggled to break teams down. Those games where we had like 4 shots and XG of like 0.41. So the only change I've made is that, just to get us moving the ball a little bit quicker. I have, when I've done long series with low tempo, the shot creation sometimes can be extremely low. And obviously Leicester are scoring plenty of goals, so I've put it on standard. Now, if we're really chasing games and we need to really kick on, I'll often put it up to slightly higher. If we're then in control of games like we were against Norwich, we took the lead against Norwich, difficult away game. I thought last 20 minutes, let's play slightly tempo. Still do our same things, but just lower the tempo. It helps you control the game extremely well when you just knock it down to slightly lower. And then work into the box. High on deep completions, passes into that final third and things like that. So that's why we've got that on. No real big target man as well. Vardy's decent in the air. Iniacho's decent in the air, but we haven't got that real big target man. Obviously, if you end up playing with a target man with this tactic, you might need to knock that off. In transition, counter press, yes, damn decent PPDA numbers. He's trying to stop transitions. You've got that number of bodies, that overload in midfield, so there'll be that natural reaction to win the ball back. Counter I haven't put on. They're not high in terms of counter attack. We will do it at times with the wingers that we've got. There will be counter attacks, but there's not that where everybody goes. We don't need that, especially Pereira driving forward. So I thought, let's just keep him in that double pivot rather than him carrying into the area, really aggressive on a counter attack. It's not what they do. Slow the pace down from the goalkeeper. I really want to try and encourage possession numbers and being patient and recycle the ball. So him being slower, calmer, allowing us to get our shape. And then with that, you should then see more passes distributed to the centre halves. And then out of possession, we've just gone high press, high line, nothing crazy. They're still behind Southampton in terms of PPDA and stuff like that, and pressing intensity. So we've just gone for a bog standard high press and higher line. All right, everybody, that is the Leicester City Enzo Maresca's 4-3-3. You want massive possession numbers. You want to dominate the game, especially with the use of how to use inverted wingbacks. That is my little setup for what I would do. Gives you a real clear 3-2 build-up shape with a nice little setup for rest defence. Something, as I said, linked down in description to Enzo Maresca's video talking about rest defence and stopping counter-attacks using the inverted wingback. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Smash a like on today's video. Tomorrow is all about Faka of Leeds United. Cheers, guys.